Ooh, welcome to 8-9, the divine. Let's do this. This is going to actually be the equations for a circle. You probably have seen this before, and if not, here you go. So there's two different forms. One is the standard form, and standard form is by far the best form to be able to graph it and understand what this circle looks like. So the standard form looks like this. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. All right, so the HK is going to be the center, and the R is going to be the radius. So notice, this is very important, that there is a minus here, minus. So say, for example, it gave us something like this. X plus h squared plus y minus, now let's actually put a number. So x plus 4 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 25. So we can know our center is usually x minus. And since it's plus here, we know it must be the opposite of 4. So it must be negative 4. So our center would be negative 4. And this is normally negative, so we're just going to take the number and 5. Our radius is whatever this is, square root, so it's going to be 5. So let's do a bunch of these to help you understand that. So number 1, what is the center? The center is going to be negative 4, 2. Because normally it is x minus 4 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 25. And so for it to make it plus 4, it must be x minus 4. That makes it x plus 4 squared. Okay? And so our 2 is normal because it's a negative, so it must be just 2 for the y. Our radius is going to be whatever the square root of 25 is. So the radius is going to be, because remember, 25, so the radius squared is going to equal 25. So the radius must mean it's 5, because we're going to take the square root. It could be plus or minus 5, but the radius doesn't matter, right? Because it's directional. We can put it in any direction, it'll still be 5. So the radius is going to be 5. So let's graph that. Our center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. There's our center. Our radius is 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 4 points. We can do them all over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That doesn't really help us because it's diagonal, right? We could do the distance formula and find it out, but once you get those 4 points, I just usually do a rough sketch. Woo! All right, decent, not bad. All right, let's do number 2. Our center is normally x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. So it's normally minus, so it must be just 7 for this. And normally it is y minus something. So what would make it just y? What would k have to be? It would have to be 0. So our center is going to be 7, 0. And so we have r squared equals 4, which means r is going to be equal to 2. So let's find our center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0. 7, 0. And our radius is 2. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, little baby circle. So here we go, rough sketch. Woo! Not bad. Number 3, center, 3, negative 1. Remember, so we have x minus 3. So x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals radius squared. So for us to have a positive here, so we have minus 3, so that's good. But if we had a plus 1, ooh, that must mean it's y minus a minus 1, which means our k is going to be minus 1 here. And so we have a radius squared equals 49. Since we know r squared is equal to 49, so r is going to be equal to 7 because we're going to find the square root. So 1, negative 3, negative 1. There's our center. 7 away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And let's sketch. Not bad. All right, number 4, I'm going to do this quick. Negative 7, negative 5, and 4. And then you graph it by doing just as I did. Okay, let's do the even here. Center is going to be negative 7, 2. And our diameter, diameter. So first we got to find our radius. We know this is going to be 324. So we have to first find what our radius is. When we take the square root, we get r equals 18, and we know d equals 2 times r, so 2 times 18 will give us 36. There we go. Center for this one is going to be 6, negative 11. And the radius is going to be the square root of 80. All right. So we need to simplify that. That's going to be equal to, I'm going to bring that up here, square root of 16 times the square root of 5. So that gives me 4 square roots of 5. 4 square roots of 5. We're just looking for the radius, so we got it. This one's asking for the circumference. Oh boy. All right, so center is going to be 3. And then we have here y minus 0 squared, because that would just give us y squared. So our y is going to be 0. And we have to now find our radius, or diameter. Either way, we just got to find something to get our circumference. So we know r squared equals 32. So r equals square root of 32. So let's simplify that into square root of 16 times square root of 2, which is 4 square roots of 2. All right, so our circumference, if you don't remember, is 2 pi r. So 2 pi times 4 square roots of 2 is going to be 4 square roots of 2 is our radius, times 2 pi. We can simplify that a little bit and get 8 square roots of 2 pi. All right, if you want to put that into a decimal, you can. So here we go. Now we're finding the area. So for area, it's pi r squared. So we need r. We need r in order to find the area, so let's do it. Our center of this circle is going to be negative 7, negative 2. And we know r squared equals 108. So r is going to be the square root. And what is the square root of 108? I don't know, but it's 36 times 3. So we can break that apart. 36 times square root of 3, which is 6 square roots of 3. All right, so our area equals pi 6 square roots of 3 squared. So pi 36 times 3. So remember, we got to square each of these. 36, 6 times 6 is 36. Square root of 3 times square root of 3 is 3. So our area is going to be 108 pi. That's fine. You don't need to put in a decimal, but you can. Let's go back and graph one more now that you've seen a little bit more. So we got number 4. We got our center. We got our radius. Just going to graph it now. So our center is going to be at negative 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Radius of 4. So let's change colors. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And rough sketch time. Not bad. All right. So if you have any questions on that on Thursday, just let me know. Or tomorrow. Tomorrow, just let me know. This is the form that is most difficult. This is a lot of times what they'll give you, and you have to then put it into standard form. So general form. General form says we have it something like ax squared plus by squared plus cx plus dy equals, plus e equals 0. So we set it all equal to 0. We get it all on one side. Let's get rid of that plus there. All right, so can't you obviously see this is a circle? Come on, guys. No, it's not easy to see as a circle, so you have to get it into standard form, and that's what we're going to do now. We're going to use a algebraic trick called completing the square. All right, and I'm going to show you step by step how to do that. So first part of this, we are going to put this into this form, standard form. We're going to put it into standard form. So the idea is, you can see, we get the x's together and we get the y's together. So since these are all addition and we have a little subtraction, we can move things around a little bit. If it helps, you can put this as plus minus 2x and plus minus x. That's the same thing. So let's get the x's together. We get ax squared minus 2x. Good. And then let's get the y squareds together. Y squared plus 6y. And then we move the constant to the right. So we move this guy to the right. All right, can you see that? Let's see if you can see that. So I just moved this over, and I moved this over, so I can have these together. And then I moved the 6 over to make it look almost like our normal form. Okay, so I'm gonna do it again. So I get x squared, move this over, minus 2x, y squared, plus 6y, and then I added 6 to both sides, and I get 6. All right, that's the first step. The second step is you have to understand, that in an equation, if you add something to one side, you have to add the exact same thing to the other side. And if you do that, the scales will balance. If you don't do that, it'll be very imbalanced. So if you add 2 to one side, it will go down because it'll be too heavy. And then you have to add 2 to the other side, so it'll balance again, and it'll be balanced. So basically think of an equation or an equal sign as a scale. If I add 2 to one side, I have to do it to the other, because it'll be imbalanced and the scale will not be flat. So here we go. We are going to work with one thing. We are going to try and make it something squared with x. So you have to really understand your squares. So say, for example, I had x minus 3 squared. What is that going to look like? So if I expanded it, it's going to give me x squared, square this, plus 9, multiply these together and double it, so negative 6x. And so how would I get, if I just had this, how would I get the 9? How would I find that? Let's see another one. So if I had x minus 4 squared, that would be x squared plus 16. Multiply these together and double them, so we get negative 16x. Negative 8x. So the idea is, if we had x minus 2x, so let's just imagine this is gone. Let's just imagine. How would I get this? How would I get this to look like something squared? What would I have to add here for it to get into a square? Can you see from these two? Can you see that it's half of this number? Half of this number, so negative 3 squared will give you this. Same thing with this. It's half of negative 8. Negative 8 is negative 4 squared will give you negative 16. And then you know to put minus or plus based on this number. So here we go. What is half of negative 2? Half of negative 2 is negative 1. And we square that we get 1. So I can just add that 1, but the trick is, if I add that 1 to one side, I have to add that 1 to the other side. That is what completing the square is. And then I can write it as x minus 2, or would it be x minus 1? What is it? X minus 1 squared. There we go. So whatever half of that is going to be it. So you see how I took half of that, and that's what I got here? Half of this, that's what I got here. Whew. So let me see that again, one more time. This is the trickiest part. So if I had something like this, x minus 6 squared, square it, square it, multiply these together and double. So negative 12x, there we go. So now what if I wanted to go the reverse direction? What if I wanted to factor this? And I didn't have this number. What would I need here for me to get to this? I take half of negative 12, which gives me negative 6, and then I square it. So when I square it, I get 36. There we go. So it's always going to be half of this, and that's the number we put in there. So when we go back to this, we need this to be half of what negative 2 is squared. So half of negative 2 is negative 1. Half of negative 2 is negative 1. Then we square negative 1 and get 1. And then when we break it up, we're going to get x minus 1 squared. All right. Does that make sense? But we still have our y's left. So we have, oops. Still have our y, so we have our plus y squared plus 6y equals 7 now, because we added the 1 to both sides. And then we have to do the same thing with the y. So we have our x minus 1 squared, and now the y squared plus 6y, we have to add something here, and then we have to add that same something over here. So half of 6y is 3y, and then square it. Sorry, is half of 6 is 3. We don't need the y. Half of 6 is 3, and then we square it and we get 9. So we have to add 9 to both sides. If we do one thing to one side, we have to do it to the other. That's what a scaled is. If we add 9 pounds to one side, we have to add 9 pounds to the other, so they'll be balanced again. All right, so this is going to give us x minus 1 squared plus, and now since this is positive, this must be positive, and we get 3 squared, which was half of this. It's always going to be half of this, equaling 16. And now, what's our center? Our center is going to be 1, negative 3, and our radius is going to equal 4, because radius squared equals 16. Wow, that was cool and tricky. So we're going to have to get there one step at a time. Let's do some practice problems here. I'm going to do about 3 of them. 3 of them. All right, so here we go. Let's group our x's together. So we'll group x's in blue, and we'll group y's in green, and we'll put our constant to the right. There we go. So first step, let's do our blues. We need something here. And then we can carry our y's over. And we have to add that same something over here. So how do we make this a perfect square? We take half of the 4 and square it. So half of this is 2, and square it will be 4. So we get x plus 2, and we bring that here, squared. Okay, let's always test it. X plus 2 squared to see. X squared, 4, multiply together, double, 4x. There we go. Now let's do our green. Ooh, I didn't have balance. I added 4, so I have to add 4 to this side. Don't forget. So now I have my plus y squared plus 8y plus something equals 59. And then I'm going to go up here. All right, so I get x plus 2 squared plus, let's go to green again. All right, so half of 8 is 4, and then we square that. Square that and get what? 16. So we have to add 16 to both sides if we're going to add to that side. So we get y plus 4 squared equals 70. What do we get here? 60. Ding ding, 75. That doesn't work out as well as I was hoping it would. Nope. 75, yep. Oh well. I thought it would be a perfect square. But there we go. And then we can find our center. Our center is going to be -2, -4. And our radius is going to equal the square root of 75, which is equal to square root of 25 times 3, which is equal to 5 square roots of 3. Okay, not bad. All right, let's do another one. 16. Let's group our x's. X squared. Oh, gotta get it on to one side. We can keep the 62 over there if we want. So x squared minus 18x. And then we get our y's together. Plus y squared minus 2y equals -62. That's fine over there. All right, so let's first do our x's. So we have x squared minus 18x plus something plus y squared minus 2y equals -62 plus that same something. So let's do our x's first. So we get half of -18 is -9, so that's going to be what goes here, and squared, which means we square that, which is going to give us 81. And if we add 81 here, we have to add 81 over here. And let's check it. X minus 9 squared, x squared, 81, multiply and double, -18x. There we go. It works. And so we have y squeeze, change color. Y squared minus 2y plus something equals -62 plus 81 is, doesn't matter. So we get 18, 19, and then we have to add this something once we do the y. So we get, I'm going to just do blue now. Squared plus our y is going to be half of -2. Half of -2 is -1 squared. So we're going to add 1 to both sides. And we know it's going to be a negative here because it's a negative here. And we square it. And it's going to equal 20. Check your answer. Y minus 1 squared, y squared, 1 squared, which is 1. Multiply together and double it, -2y. There we go, it matches. All right, so here's our answer. So center is going to be 9, 1. Radius is going to be square root of 20, which is equal to square root of 4 times square root of 5, which is equal to 2 square roots of 5. Cool. All right, number 18. Same thing. Let's go black. I've done black in a long time. All right. So let's get our x's together. X squared plus 10x minus 4x. Ooh. Oh, we can combine like terms. And then we get the y over. Let's go brown. Plus y squared plus 16y equals -5. So I moved the -5 to the right, and I moved the 4x and the -y squared to the left. So I can combine like terms. I get 6x, and then the brown stays as it is. And let's first do the black. So I get x squared plus 6x plus something plus y squared plus 16y equals -5 plus something. All right, so we're going to get x plus, because this is plus, and then half of 6 is 3, and square. There we go. And we square the 3 and get 9. So we have to add 9 to both sides. So I get x plus 3 squared plus y squared plus 16y equals 4. And we need to do the y. So here we go. Plus something equals 4 plus something. All right, so we already have our x's. X plus 3 squared plus y's are going to be y plus, since this is plus, half of 16 is 8. So there we go. And then we double it and get 64. 64 equals 68. Always check. See if you did it right. Plus y squared, 64, multiply and double, 16y. That's what we got. And then don't forget to always add the other side, or your scale is going to be off balance. So our center is going to be -3, -8. And our radius is going to be the square root of 68. And what is the square root of 68? Square root of 68 is... let's just keep it as the square root of 68, because we're not looking for just the radius. We're looking for the area. So the area is going to equal pi times the radius squared. So that's going to equal pi times 68. And we are done with that. Did I make a mistake? Yep. So our radius was here. I needed to find the diameter. So the diameter is 2 times the radius. So that's going to be 4 square roots of 5. That's actually our answer. And any others, did I make a mistake? Nope. Okay, there we go. All right, guys.